Hello and welcome to episode 1 of FPL Hacks with me, Holly Shand, the brand new fantasy show coming to you every single game week on the Wolves YouTube channel. We're going to be discussing all of the hot topics as they drop. If you want to know a little bit more about me, I'm a fantasy football pundit and manager. I've been playing FPL for 7 seasons now. I've had 5 top 100,000 finishes, with 2 of those seasons finishing in the top 10,000, and that's my goal once again this season. If you fancy taking me on and competing with other managers as well, there's a brand new mini league as well, the FPL Hacks mini league, which you'll find on the Fantasy Premier League website. The league code for that one is QFHA6V. I'll pop that in the description of this video as well. And there's some fantastic prizes coming your way. The winner will take home a games console and a brand new copy of FIFA 22. So make sure that you get stuck in and join. Now, the theme for this video is going to be building a squad for game week 1. So if you've logged in to the Premier League website for the first time, you'll see that blank screen. You've got 100 million to spend on your fantasy squad of 15 players, 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards. Where do you start? Well, the first thing that you need to do, have a look at the fixtures, because the first thing we need to lock in is our premium players. You need 1 to 3 of these premium players. These are going to be the players that you're going to be trusting with the captain's armband every single week. So I'd have a look at the first 4 to 6 game weeks to pinpoint which are the best players that you're going to need to use the armband, because they're the ones that you're going to need in your team to begin with. Looking at the fixtures for game week 1 then, there are a few obvious standouts. We've got Manchester United at home to Leeds United. Bruno Fernandes could be a fantastic option in that game. We've also got Liverpool, who are playing promoted Norwich. Mo Salah springs to mind there. I think they're probably going to be the top 2 captain picks for game week 1. Moving on to game week 2, it's a similar picture. Liverpool at home to Burnley, a great fixture. Manchester United away at Southampton. Things get a little bit trickier in game week 3. Are we going to captain Bruno Fernandes away at Wolves? A bit trickier fixture, and then we look towards Liverpool as well at home to Chelsea. So you may want to mix things up a bit there, but I still think Bruno Fernandes could be a good option. He is on penalties. Manchester United have really strengthened their attack in this transfer window. And then to game week 4, Manchester United are at home to Newcastle. Liverpool are away at Leeds. Again, 2 good fixtures. So I'm planning on starting the season with 2 premium players. If we just filter our players by price, Salah is the most expensive player in the game, and then we've got a few players at 12 million, Mane, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Sterling at 11 million, Son at 10 million. I think he can get away with just 2. Salah is the superior fantasy asset to Mane. Bruno Fernandes should be a solid pick as well. So that's where you need to be starting with constructing your squad. Now, there are rumours of some big forward transfer signings in the transfer window. Whether they get done before game week 1 or not, we don't know. But that's also an option as well. So keep an eye out if any big strikers are signed by some of the big clubs, because that could influence our thinking on which premium players to go for. So I've already spent 24.5 million of the budget. It's also a good idea to lock in your bench players now as well, so that you can see exactly what you're going to be dealing with. Now, I'd recommend in fantasy the best formations are 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. I wouldn't play 5 at the back defenders. There's better value and more offensive returns up front in the midfield and forward spots. But having a 4 million defender in there will give you the freedom, because remember, we've got a squad of 15 players. We can only play 11 players each week. So we don't want to be spending a lot of money on our bench. So we need a goalkeeper to go on our bench, which is 4 million. Now, when it comes to goalkeepers, I don't like spending a lot of money on them anyway. I think 8.5 million on 2 goalkeepers is plenty. So if we have a look at the 4.5 million options, there's a few that stand out. Sanchez at Brighton is the one for me, but there are other good options elsewhere as well. Another one that springs to mind would be Bachmann at Watford as well. But then when it comes to the 4 million options, you're not going to get a starter in here. I'm just going to put Ben Foster in as a placeholder there. And then when we come to the defenders, again, looking for a 4 million option. There's not many. This player at Norwich seems to be getting a few minutes in pre-season, so at 4 million, he can slot in. I'm going to set up this team in a 3-4-3. Obviously, you can pick other formations in there as well. That means the cheapest midfielder I can get to have on my bench is 4.5 million. And in there as well, who are the good options? We've got Bissouma, Gilmour, Brownhill. They're the top three. I'm just going to put Brownhill in as a placeholder, but it doesn't really matter too much. If I'm setting up on a 3-4-3, I might splash out up to 4.5 million on my final bench defender. Ben White's had his big money move to Arsenal. He's very popular right now, but that shows you how to set things up now. I've got my 2 premium players locked in. I've got a set and forget goalkeeper locked in, and I've also got my cheap bench players locked in, and that gives me 54 million to spend on my final 8 players. So we're looking about £7 million per player. Now, you want to leave yourselves as flexible as possible to be able to jump on and off the form players, but I've made a conscious decision here to go with 2 premium midfielders. So that means in the forward line, I'm going to be looking at the mid-price players. Now, there's not a great deal of options in the forward line anyway. Harry Kane, we don't know where he's going to be playing at the start of the season. There's a few other big hitters that have underwhelmed in previous seasons, but you get down to 8 million. We've got Ings, who's moved to Aston Villa, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Martial, Watkins. There's some great options down here. You've got Antonio at 7.5. We've got Tony at Brentford at 6.5. Some good options in there. So I'm just going to lock in a few across the price points just to give you an idea of how to set things up. These aren't set in stone. These won't necessarily make my final game week 1 team, but it just gives you an idea of squad construction. It's better to build from front to back, but you may want to have at least 1 premium defender in there, and one man, I can't look at my fantasy team without having him in there, especially given the fixtures is Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold, Norwich, Burnley, Leeds in the first 4 fixtures. So if we can lock him in there as well, then we've got 24.5 million to spend on the final 4 players. We've got a few risks in there. I mean, Tony is a promoted player. I don't like to go with too many players that are either from a promoted team, that are new to the Premier League. A few other things to consider there. If you have too many gambles and they all fail, then you may find yourself really, really struggling. Another player then I want to lock in the midfield. There's some great options in midfield. I think Rafinha presents fantastic value at Leeds United. Mixed fixtures, but again, a good price point to have in this side. And then looking elsewhere, who we can lock in, doesn't really matter too much at this point, but a 6 million midfielder, or maybe even a 6.5 to 7.5, might try Mason Mount in there as well. Still leaves us 10.5 million for the final 2 defenders. If you want in a defender that's going to start every week, though, you're probably best only spending 6 to 6.5 million on that final midfield spot, and then it affords you some of the more premium defenders as well. So for example, in this draft I could get someone like Luke Shaw in there, who obviously had a fantastic Euros. Lucas Dean could go in there. Everton, fantastic fixtures to start the season. Now, you don't need to spend all of that £100 million budget. This squad has got 99 million. I'd recommend leaving 0.5 million in the bag, because it does just give you a little bit of flexibility in transfers in the early weeks of the season when the market moves quite rapidly. But if I'm honest, when it comes to my own team, I tend to spend all of that budget. I just can't resist getting all of the players in and maximising my team as much as possible for game week 1. That concludes episode 1 of FPL Hacks with me, Holly Shand. Thank you very much for joining. If you've got any questions, get in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, hit the subscribe button as well, and check out the link in the description, which will take you to Fantasy Premier League site to join the FPL Hacks Mini League to be in a chance of winning a games console and FIFA 22 at the end of the season. Good luck, everybody, for game week 1.